Hi everyone, I'm Annalisa from C.A.C. Global Solutions. Welcome. I hope you're all doing well. In this video, I would like to talk to you a little more about the book that Brad Peters and I wrote, Introduction to Aircraft Management. We've shared already some insights on the book in previous videos, and in today's videos, I would like to cover some topics that we covered in the book by using a case study, something that happened to a friend of mine. I think you're going to like this case study because, like the examples that we wrote in the book, they are real. They are real situations, real issues that my friend in this case experienced. We are going to talk about procedures, training, reporting system, accountability, and I'll touch briefly also on the importance of having a functional and effective quality system and the relevance of SMS and risk assessments. All themes are very relevant if you are paying attention to what's been happening in our industry in the last months. It's interesting to see how these issues present themselves in different types of companies and at different levels inside companies. So in our case study, the protagonist, I'll call her Jenny to make the explanation of the story easier, works in aircraft management for a small but well-known company. She's been working in aviation for a very long time and has held all kinds of different positions in different companies internationally. She recently decided to resign from her latest job after 10 years, and I'm going to guide you through some of the issues that she encountered in this last company. I'm not going to go through all of them, otherwise the video would be very long. The first issue is about lack of procedures. A lot of processes in this company didn't have explicit procedures. When there were procedures, those procedures were put in place by one person in complete isolation, without any discussion about what kind of procedures were needed, the goal of these procedures, a little bit of brainstorming about what those procedures should cover, and a discussion with the people affected by those procedures. Once ready, those procedures were put in the company service without notifying anyone. So here already we have two issues. The first one is that procedures were put in place in complete isolation by one person, without any consultation or evaluation with the people that were going to be affected and had to use these procedures. The second issue here is the lack of a policy about how to disseminate these new or amended procedures. The results, as you can imagine, was that the intended end users were not aware of these new or amended procedures, and that they were applying simply their judgment and what they experienced in their career in any given situation. Obviously, this causes a lot of inconsistency throughout the company. If you worked with a certain person, you would go through a certain process. If you work with another person on the same thing, you would have a completely different experience. Also interesting, though, was the fact that when a procedure was actually presented and implemented properly and distributed properly, only a few of Jenny's colleagues actually applied that approved procedures. It was unclear the reason why certain colleagues refused to use approved procedures. And this points also to another problem, that was that nobody actually ever assessed why this was happening, and nobody was able to find a solution because nobody was looking for one. The topic number 2 is about lack of training and communication. Training is extremely important. Not only does it help you with what you need to do, but it creates also standardization of processes that creates consistency of services and of outcomes that in turn affect companies' results. In our case study, Jenny was learning what to do by asking questions to different colleagues and by discovering different procedures by herself by chance. Meaning some days she would be looking into the company server for something, and she would discover official procedures and other official documents that they were supposed to brought to the attention to and made available to all staff and not hidden in a company server. Even when she was asking questions about a specific situation, a specific policy, the answer was always only just verbal. There was nothing written, and she got the answer to the question only if she would ask. The knowledge wasn't disseminated to anyone. In the book, we touched on the importance of having procedures available and be trained on them, but also on the importance of having a good manual with policies and procedures customized based on the company size, the type of operations, and the working environment. Even more interesting in Jenny's case was that some colleagues didn't have even access to the company server, meaning if they really wanted to hunt for procedures and learn more about some procedures, they couldn't anyways. This situation obviously created inconsistency, but also a greater workload, because now Jenny had to always ask for something because nothing was written, procedures were not disseminated appropriately. She also had to spend time by explaining procedures to other people, to other colleagues, and the workload was also was increasing also because she had to correct some mistakes that other colleagues were doing because they didn't know about a procedure or a policy. Can you imagine doing maintenance in this way? The point number 3 is about reporting issues. In the last 2-3 years, Jenny has been noticing a number of issues, and a lack of training, procedures, and communication were just some of them. There were many more. She shared her concern with the managers of the company verbally and by email, and she also proposed solutions to these issues. Every time she reported an issue, she would be ignored, or the answer was, yes, we should really do something about it, but nothing was ever done. Jenny was uncomfortable in reporting issues because she felt like a complainer, and she felt like she was throwing under the bus some people. It's extremely important in aviation that you report what you observe. It's imperative you do so. If you don't report about an issue, others may not know about it, and they may not be able to evaluate a situation properly, and they may take the wrong decisions, or they may introduce risks and latent failures in the system. If you don't know there is a problem in the first place, you can't put in place mitigating actions. Ignorance in aviation is not bliss, it's a problem. Generally speaking, people have the right to know what's going on. What they do with what you report is up to them. We can't control everything or everybody, in particular when situations require actions at a management level. In Jenny's case, it's also important to consider that the only way she was able to report issues was by sending emails and by talking to managers. A real reporting system was not in place, nor a quality system that could evaluate these issues. There was a part-time person that was supposed to do something of that nature, but nothing was actually implemented and presented. Not a reporting system, not a quality system. Procedure also to report issues were not implemented, were not present in the company. The result? Nobody in that company knew how to report issues. Now, the issue number 4 that I want to talk about is about accountability. The main problem, which is allowing all of these issues to exist and persist, is the glaring lack of accountability. Without a proper structure, training, and procedures, it's very difficult to identify who is supposed to do what and who is in charge of a certain task. In our case study, it almost seems like this situation was wanted. The reason for this statement is that because Jenny has been reporting issues for the last 2-3 years, and nobody, no one manager ever done anything about considering these issues and evaluate them. One particular aspect that I found interesting was that when things got out of control, management would call a meeting. But at the end of the meeting, Nobody was really assigned to assess anything or do anything about the issues. It seemed like these meetings were called to say, well, we talked about it, that's good enough. Let's set up another meeting for next month. The next meeting was most of the time cancelled for whatever reason, and nothing was ever evaluated or done. We talk about the importance of meetings in our book in Chapter 3, Operational Dynamics. We try to explain why meetings are important. It's important to prepare for them, why it's important to ask people that are going to attend the meeting if they need or want to talk about something, and to follow through with meetings. There aren't many things more disengaging than canceling a meeting that was supposed to be used to talk about issues. That sends the message that the issues are not important, meetings are not important, or that management isn't effective. Point number 5 is about people management and the workload distribution throughout the available manpower. Let's talk about the distribution of workload first. Jenny had several instances where one of her colleagues would review a project that was officially assigned to her, and he would contact her clients directly without consulting her first, with a bunch of comments on things that, in his opinion, were wrong when they actually weren't. Simply, certain arrangements were in place that this colleague wasn't aware of because it wasn't his project in the first place. This colleague didn't hold any particular position inside the company to call for the overview of others people's projects or for calling others people's clients directly. When he was asked why he was doing that, his answer was that he didn't have enough to do. So obviously here we have a problem of distribution of the workload. There were some colleagues that were very busy and others that apparently weren't. This was also caused by a kind of a policy that one manager put in place, based on which only certain people were supposed to be assigned to certain projects. One of the problems with this policy is that it wasn't written anywhere. It wasn't a procedure. Nobody knew about it. And this policy was also put in place by this one manager without any authority or assessment. Another issue in this case is the action of this colleague. Trying to manage other people's projects without being intimate with this project not only was disrespectful of the colleague that was officially assigned to a specific project, but also was creating inconsistency and problems with clients that now were receiving contradictory information about what was supposed to be done. Even more problematic, and this is purely related to people management, was the fact that management knew about this issue, and nobody ever did anything to correct this behavior that was causing inefficiency, disrupting the service, and alienating clients and colleagues. One thing that I would like to share with you that is related to people management and that I would have liked to include in the book is the 80-20 rule, also known as Pareto principle. This principle suggests that 80% of effects come from 20% of causes. What that suggests in a company is that 80% of company results come from the work of 20% of its employees. Jenny was for sure part of these 20% of employees that make things done, and now she decided to resign. So if you are a small company, let's say 10 employees, 20%, it's 2 people. And her company just lost her. So the company lost one of the 2 people who made things happen. In the same way, this principle also suggests that 80% of problems come from 20% of its employees. Jenny's colleague that is messing around with other people's projects might fit in this category. There is a lot going on with this case study, and we just scratched the surface with these examples. In our book, we provided different issues that we experienced, and we often tried to provide solutions. So what's the solution in this case? Well, Jenny felt it was time to resign. She started to realize that the company that she worked for last 10 years is not the same company. And she also started to read the room, meaning she started to understand that in that company there are very few people who are willing, or they have what it takes, the knowledge, capacity, and maybe willpower to look at these issues and do something with them. Otherwise, they would have already. Now, what about the company? What's the solution for them? A possible solution might be bringing in someone who is able to assess their situations not only under a technical point of view, but also under a human point of view. The human part is fundamental for a healthy environment and can't be left out. They need to look at their issues, look at their problems, evaluate them, put a plan together, and build their quality system on that. It's quite amazing how they have been able to do what they do without a proper quality and reporting system in the first place, anyways. Quality and reporting, along with SMS and risk assessment, are the pillars of any aviation company today. This case study fascinates me so much because we live and work in an industry based on, like I said, SMS and risk assessments, and yet not only none of the managers acted on the issues that Jenny pointed out, but none of them even investigate them. None of them was curious about what was happening and why. And the usual excuse that I'm too busy, it's not an excuse, not in aviation. Oh, I'm going to sign the task as done even if I didn't really do it because I'm busy. It's not a thing. I'm not a big fan of SMS, not because it's not a good tool, I think it's a gorgeous tool, but because I've seen many instances where it was abused, or other instances where risk assessment were reverse engineered to get the wanted outcome. I don't think things in life are black and white, but I think SMS is. You embrace it or you don't. Applying SMS only when it is convenient for you, I don't think is going to improve the system. On the contrary, it might make it more susceptible to risks and latent failures. This is all very apparent. We have a lot of examples in our industry. We know a lot of people and companies that embraced SMS with notable results, but we also know that for some people and companies, SMS statements are just pretty words on a wall, a way to virtue signal that they believe in something good, but they don't practice what they preach. Is this what we want aviation to become? Just a pretty statement on a wall? Quality and SMS have been put in place to help us with our challenges and for us to reach us higher standards. To do that, though, a quality system and a safety management system must be in place and must be used properly, meaning the systems must be functional and effective. Otherwise, they will always remain just pretty words on a wall. To engage proactively in these systems, we need to have a vision for our job, for aviation. And to have a vision, we need to care about what we're doing. At the end, there must be a driver bigger than financial gain. Like we said in chapter 8 of our book, we need ethics, we need to have values, we need to believe in them and uphold them above any financial gain. Much more can be said about all of these topics and about this case study in particular. For example, you may ask, has the company ever been audited by an authority? How come no one else saw these issues? Those are all good questions, and we're gonna keep them in mind for other videos. Like I said, there is so much more to say about this case study and a lot of layers to talk about and to investigate. For now, if you've made till the end of this video, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. And if you have any comments or thoughts that you want to share, please just leave a comment. If you want to know more about us and our book, you can visit our website, caclimited.ky. The book is available on Amazon in hard copy, paperback, and ebook, and the ebook version is now available also on Google Play. We're working on the audio version. Hopefully we'll have it soon. When we do, we will post it on our website, on our LinkedIn page, so stay tuned for that. If you find information that we've been sharing useful and interesting, please consider to subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out our LinkedIn page and our website. We'll leave the links below this video. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.